Welcome back to Breakfast from Roth. My name is Bob Babbitt, and we are sponsored by Nitro and Flapjacked. We are at the 30th anniversary of Challenge Roth, and one of the contenders, a guy who knows he can win this race, Mr. Joe Gambles, four-time winner of 70.3 Boulder. That's nice when you win something 4 times in a row, Joe.
Yeah, and each year it gets tougher and tougher, but yeah, this year 4 in a row, so very, very happy.
So your build for this, because a lot of times guys, like a Pete Jacobs is racing, and then he's got Ironman Switzerland next week, so you never know where somebody's at in their schedule. This is an important race for you. Yeah,
definitely, and whoever's racing here, they're here to win. You've got 8 to 10 of the best guys in the world here, and if they're on the start list and they're here Sunday, they're here to win. Roth's a huge race, and up there with one of the biggest races in the world, so it's going to be competitive on the weekend.
And for a lot of guys, I know when Craig Alexander won Ironman in 11, 4 or 5 weeks before he won Vegas, right? So there's sort of that, I'm in really good shape for a half, and then I know that I can build from there to the full. For you, the Boulder race that you just won for the 4th time in a row, that comes at a perfect time leading into this race.
Yeah, it has. I did a lot of 70.3 training, half Ironman training leading into Boulder, and then I've come back to more Ironman distance for the last 5 weeks, which is nice to step down because you just have to go a little bit easier but for longer. So hopefully it works. Yeah, it worked for Craig Alexander in 2011, and he's actually replicated that quite a few times. So yeah, we'll see Sunday.
So you've been doing this sport since you were, what, 16 years old?
I did my first one when I was 12.
12 years old?
Yeah.
What got you into it?
My father did triathlons back in the early 80s. He did some in England, and then we moved to Australia when I was 2 years old, and he continued to race them there, and just at an age group level, just for fun. And I started running to start with, and then I did my first triathlon as part of a school's triathlon when I was 12 years old, and I won my first one, and haven't looked back. I sort of put running on the back burner and concentrated on triathlon, where I seemed to get more out of myself as an athlete. So,
hey, was there a point where you thought about the whole ITU circuit and trying to make the Olympic team, or did you know early on that, you know what, I think the non-drafting and the longer is better for me?
I tried the Olympic distance route, and I just didn't quite have the swim. So I knew in the back of my mind I'd probably be more suited to the longer distance, but I still wanted to keep pursuing the shorter distance because I knew it would set me up nicely to transition into longer distance, because it's just faster and faster these days, the long course racing. So even though I wasn't really at the pointy end of the field in Olympic distance, I kept pursuing it until I was mid-20s, and then I transferred into half Ironman and was pretty successful straight away.
Very successful right away,
yeah, and haven't really looked back. And yeah, now it's moving up more to the Ironman distance as well.
So Ironman Wisconsin 2010, was that your first Ironman?
That was my first Ironman,
and your first win?
Yeah, I know. And I thought that
might as well just quit then.
Yeah, I should have quit then, because I haven't won an Ironman since. And yeah, it just went really well. And yeah, it seems to happen. Like Bevan Doherty won his first Ironman on debut, and you've got no preconceived ideas about how much it's going to hurt. So I think you can just lay it all out there, and sometimes it works, and you come away with a win. But then the next one, you know what you're in store for. So it's a little bit, you know how much pain you're going to have to go through to win an Ironman title. Well,
you know, I think we see the same thing in marathons. You look at all the 10K guys who their first one might be their best ever marathon. And I remember Alberto Salazar, we were chatting once, and he said when he was the best 5K guy in the world, he won his first marathon. And you start replacing quality workouts with longer workouts because you think, well, now I'm a marathoner. You don't think of yourself as a shorter distance guy.
That's completely true, yeah.
Did you find yourself doing some of that after you won your first one?
I was guided by my coach at the time, Torbjörn Simbali, and we didn't really do much Ironman specific prep, really. We did 70.3, and then we did maybe 3 weeks of some longer paced work to dial in the Ironman effort, and because I didn't really know what sort of effort to do. And after that, it seemed pretty fine to lock in that pace. So yeah, definitely to come down in speed is easier. And I think the mistake a lot of people do is they're already Olympic distance athletes are still training 30 hours a week, but they think Ironman they've got to do more, so they push it up. They drop the intensity completely out, which I think that's what I'm learning is it's a mistake. You've got to keep that intensity in there, and then they bump up to 40 hours a week, and they just get tighter and tighter and slower, and they miss their weapons, which is their speed and their efficiency at that higher speed. So when they drop down, it's not such of a drop down, and So I'm trying to learn from that and hopefully adjust my training for this race, and hopefully it works out.
So you win Boulder, and then you're coming here, about a 5-week block in between, and then you go to Mount Tremblant for the 70.3 Worlds, and then Kona is 4 or 5 weeks after that. So what will you do in between? You take a little downtime after
this one? My fiance is actually on the plane now. She's coming over to watch, and then we're having a week vacation on the border of Austria and Germany, and then a night in Munich before we fly back to Denver. So, yeah, I've got a week of not even thinking about triathlon. So,
and who are you coached by now?
Neil Henderson.
Okay, out of Boulder.
Yeah, so
he works with Taylor Phinney.
He does, yeah, and a lot of other good pro cyclists, and obviously a lot of top Olympic distance triathletes as well, like Cam Dye and Flora Duffy. So, yeah, he's an amazing coach, and I trust him completely, and he's definitely got me on the right track so far. I've only been working with him 6 months, but it's working.
Have you done some rides with Taylor?
I haven't actually. Well, unfortunately,
he broke himself.
He was going to be in Boulder for a chunk of time, and unfortunately he crashed, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season. And so no, I haven't. But plenty of other guys to train with. Cam is an amazing rider, and we've pushed each other for the last 6 months. I've got him to do more longer stuff, and he's got me to do more high-intensity stuff. So it complements each other at the moment.
You know what I love is the fact that I think we're at a point. There used to be a point back in the day where Kenny Souza was a duathlete. He could train with Mark Allen, who was a triathlete, and they pushed each other, but they really weren't taking money out of each other's pocket because they had a different, different races. Cam Dye is more of an Olympic distance non-drafting guy. You're more of a 70.3 an Ironman guy.
Definitely, yeah. It works really well. Cam's a great guy and amazing athlete. He trains very, very hard, and I can see why he's so dominant on the swim bike. And his runs, I think he's still got more to go. His runs definitely come up in training, and it's transferred a couple of times in races this year, but he's still come a high V in, 6 weeks' time or whatever. He's going to be really hard to beat. But yeah, we complement each other. We don't race each other.
That's good.
I keep joking that I'm going to come down to race him at Olympic distance.
He says, "Bring it on."
Yeah, I'm sure he does. And then I keep joking that he's going to do Ironman this year. But I tried to talk him into coming to do Roth, but he wasn't keen on.
Wasn't buying into that.
No.
One of my favorite stories, Joe, is we were talking. I think it was on the radio show about Ironman Lake Tahoe, and you're putting your wetsuit on before you left the condo. 27 degrees at the start, brushing ice off your bike seat. Yeah. Talk about that experience, because that to me is unbelievable. Because we think of triathlon, the reason we do it, you go to St. Croix, you go to Kona, go to Bermuda, you come here in the summer. It's not really a winter sport.
No, and that was the risk, I guess, with having race in Tahoe in September, is you could have weather like this, or you could have what we had, which was below zero and freezing temperatures to start with, and it didn't get too warm. The run actually was fine. It was probably 50s, maybe.
Yeah, not bad. Okay.
Yeah, the sun came out and it was nice, but yeah, that morning, wow, look on people's faces in transition, they were wondering, what have I signed up?
Doing? Well, yeah, just knowing that you're going to be jumping into water when it's 27 degrees.
Yeah, the water actually was quite nice. It was like 63, so maybe 17, 18 degrees. So that was the best bit.
You got like a 30, 40 temperature difference between the water and the air.
Yeah, definitely. It was crazy. The night before the race, it actually snowed on the peaks.
So was that a morning decision to say, I'm going to put my wetsuit on before I get in the car?
I thought about it. There was a few things I did differently for Tahoe because of those extreme temperatures. But yeah, I knew that I wasn't going to do a run warm up. I wasn't going to get in the water before the swim, so I needed to keep my body temperature up. And even like just getting changed in like 0 degrees Celsius, that 2 minutes it takes to get your wetsuit on, your core temperature drops. So I thought, well, I'll put it on in the condo and I'll keep warm. And it was good. I led the whole swim. Yeah. So, yeah, I had a good swim and felt good. It was a long day, though. I went over 9 hours. I rode over 5
Yes.
and still got third. So
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
no.
So this race, being the 30th anniversary, and obviously the legends with Chrissy Wellington and Andreas Raylert and Mack winning here 4 times, I consider this the second most important triathlon in the world to win.
Yeah, so do I.
You're saying the same way. This is an important race for you.
Oh, very, very important. Yeah, I told my coach back in December that this was my A race and Kona too. So, yeah, everything's been building towards this the last 6 months training, and how to tactically play it and be able to respond to the right moves. And yeah, you need to. This race, you seem like you need to be at the pointy end. You need to be up the front the whole day. Yeah. And then last man standing, and especially with a field like this, it's a great field. Oh, it's amazing, and it's so good to. I've got so many guys to, in my mind, to try and knock off one at a time. So I haven't got the Ironman credentials that these guys have. Right. I'm more of a 70.3 athlete, but I'm an underdog. That's sort of nice. It's great to come to a race like this and have the likes of Pete Jacobs and Luke McKenzie and Dirk Bockel and Echo Lanos. The list goes on. And they're probably not that worried about me probably at the moment until I come off the bike with them and we start running, and then they might start to consider me a threat. But still, I'm still not proven over the Ironman distance compared to these guys. So hey, you won your first time out, right? You won Ironman Wisconsin. Yeah, but Ironman Wisconsin compared to Challenge Roth, field. It's apples and oranges a little bit with how competitive it's going to be and how the race will play out. Where at Ironman Wisconsin, I just stuck to my plan. I didn't care about anyone else and executed exactly what I had to hold on the bike and the run. I even splitted everything and I was very evenly paced, whereas this will be probably very, very fast at the start of the swim. It'll settle. The bike there'll be sections where people will test each other. It won't be an even paced race at all. It'll be tactical and you got to, hopefully I've prepared well to be able to respond to those and even initiate some of those surges myself and really test everyone out. Well, what's fascinating to me is going in that if you don't go sub 8, you're probably not winning this race. That's true, yeah. How many times you go to a starting line knowing that? That's pretty crazy. I don't know the last time they didn't break 8 was what? A while ago. Yeah, 10 years ago maybe. Yeah, so it's a fast course. And I rode the course on Saturday, and it's hard. There's some good hills, and don't you think? I mean, people think. I think a lot of times a fast race is because of the competition. Yeah. Right. Yeah. People push each other, and not necessarily the fastest course in the world. No, definitely, and it's smooth roads, and there isn't many sections where you're going to lose speed, but there's definitely some hills, and I'm glad I'm the lightest guy in the field. That's all. You are, aren't you? Probably. Yeah, I'm 66 kilo, like 145 pounds, whereas someone like Dirk and those guys are 170, 160 to 170 are those other guys. Yeah. So hopefully I'll be able to save a little bit on the uphill, because on the downhill, that's where they'll really try and shake it up, and that's where I've got to be able to respond. So they're working on the finish stadium right behind us while we're chatting. Yeah, it's incredible. It is incredible. Yeah. Now, this is the first time here. Yeah, it is, yeah. First time here. So you come into this will be filled with 5,000 to 10,000 people. It's crazy. Yeah, right? I don't know. I made the mistake last night of YouTubing the challenge video. I couldn't sleep last night. It was a terrible idea. Watching that 20-minute clip on YouTube got me a little bit too fired up. And I didn't sleep until like midnight last night because of it. So it just sends chills down my spine to finish just in front of that sort of crowd. Never mind win. Like, I don't even know what it'd be like to win in front of a crowd like that. Just to finish, I think for everyone that's competing, it's going to be an amazing accomplishment, and they're going to remember that moment for the rest of their lives. Just finishing with that much support, it's amazing. During your training, knowing you'll have to go sub 8, and knowing that someone's probably running sub 240 or close to it, how did that influence how you trained? Look, I train for 70.3, so the speed isn't a problem. The speed change isn't a problem. It's more about keeping that much train, but also be able to go for 8 hours, and dial in my nutrition and all those things that you really have to get right for an Ironman. 70.3, a half Ironman distance. I basically put my head down and go flat out the whole day. I'm right on the limit or just over for under 4 hours, whereas this is double the distance, and you're
double the fun.
Yeah, double the fun. That's sort of true. I think double the accomplishment when you finish it. That feeling. Wisconsin, it might not be my best ever race, but it's still the most memorable for me to win that
first time out.
Yeah, definitely. Just that Ironman, because you've got so much more fatigue and the emotion that comes along with just finishing an Ironman and the crowd. It's I still get chills thinking about finishing Wisconsin. It was nearly 4 years ago. So yeah,
it's time for a new chill.
Definitely,
it's time for winning this race would be really cool. Now, a tradition, of course, if you do win or top 3. We do our post-race show on Monday morning.
Okay.
You got to come back.
Oh, of course I'll be here. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And the post-race is also drinking lots of beer.
It's drinking lots of beer and then the table run and all the rest of that stuff.
I don't know about that table run. I've heard Felix is unbeatable.
He is unbeatable.
Felix is unbeatable. I think that might be a spectator sport for me on Monday.
Hey, Joe, thanks for taking so much time.
Thanks, Bob.
I love what you bring to the sport. I love your personality, your enthusiasm for it.
I love it, yeah. It's my passion.
And look at sprinklers right on cue.
Yeah,
I love that. We are brought to you by Nitro and Flapjacked. We are at Challenge Roth, the 30th edition. This is a breakfast from Roth. Rainer, take us out, baby. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.